You're watching CW Montana. This is the MTN 9 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Across the state tonight, we take you inside a daring rescue as search and rescue crews save a man stranded down the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. Plus, a Montana investment company that wants to offer sports betting is now suing the Montana Lottery. We'll have those details. But first, it promises to be good for Montana. Phase 1 of the long-awaited trade deal with China now signed by President Trump. Now, the signing is the first step in what the president says will be a big economic boost for the country. But there are questions. Daryl Forges reports.
With the stroke of the pen, President Trump signing a new preliminary trade agreement with China.
This is the biggest deal there is anywhere in the world by far.
The 86-page Phase 1 agreement includes a commitment by China to substantially increase the amount of U.S. goods and services it buys, including billions of dollars in additional agricultural purchases over 2 years.
This is something that's going to be so special, however, to our manufacturers, our farmers, our bankers, our service people. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
The Phase 1 agreement is divided into chapters, covering topics that include intellectual property, technology transfer, agriculture, financial services, currency, expanding trade, and dispute resolution. Administration officials saying it is a first step towards resolving the trade war with China.
They'll purchase over $200 billion of additional things, dropping the trade deficit, which will lead to growth.
But this agreement is not a final resolution to all the trade issues between the U.S. and China. Tariffs on about $370 billion on goods imported to the U.S. from China will remain in place for now. And questions still remain about how the deal will be enforced.
The United States concedes our leverage, and in exchange, China makes vague, unenforceable promises it never intends to fulfill.
With Phase 1 now complete, President Trump says he'll visit China in the not-too-distant future. I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
Montana's lone congressional Republican Greg Gianforte praises the deal, saying today's breakthrough agreement between the U.S. and China is a win for Montana agriculture, manufacturing, and business. Republican Senator Steve Daines, who was at today's signing, says it means billions of dollars for our ag industry, which is a big deal for Montanans. So big shout out to President Trump and his team here. Meanwhile, Democratic Senator Jon Tester says today's Phase 1 agreement with China is a welcome first step, but we shouldn't pat ourselves on the back when we have a lot more work to do to end this self-inflicted trade war. Opponents of a new proposal to settle Flathead tribal water rights, led by Republican governor candidate Al Olszewski, are now calling to withdraw the plan. Now, that plan was developed by Republican U.S. Senator Steve Daines and is now before Congress. Daines' proposal, if approved, would settle Montana water rights claims with the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes. Daines says the deal will prevent years of litigation, but Olszewski and others say the proposal gives too much to the tribes, including a $1.9 billion settlement fund. Lake County Commissioner Gail Decker says the deal's promise of bringing 6,000 new jobs to the area is not necessarily a good thing.
So the workforce cannot come from on-reservation folks. So there is going to be a significant influx into our county of folks from out of the area, and we're worried about our law enforcement, our drug trafficking, our human trafficking. So we have a lot of concerns about how the county is going to be able to handle these additional strains on our resources.
Senator Daines' office says Daines will keep meeting with people to discuss how it protects water rights and avoids costly litigation. Well, a Billings-based investment group is now suing the Montana Lottery for the right to be granted a sports wagering license. Already Group alleges it should be issued a sports wagering license as outlined in House Bill 725 and passed by the 2019 Montana legislature. However, last year, the Lottery Commission added a rule requiring an alcoholic beverage license to hold sports betting, even though during the session, lawmakers had actually amended House Bill 725 to require a gambling operator license but not require an alcohol license. Ready Group already has a gambling operator license. It is now seeking an injunction that would stop the lottery from issuing sports wagering licenses until this matter is resolved. Well, one man is in the hospital tonight following an officer-involved shooting in Missoula. At around 10:30 this morning, Missoula police responded to a Northside Missoula trailer court. There they met a man who refused to drop his firearm. At one point, shots were fired and the man was injured. A police spokesman says it's too early to determine who fired shots. The investigation is being turned over to the Montana Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation. No word tonight on the suspect's condition. Well, a family in Belgrade is looking for help tonight in trying to recover some items filled with sentimental value. The theft happened at Osterman's Storage in Belgrade. It started last week when someone broke the lock on the family storage unit but did not originally take anything. However, due to miscommunication at the business, the lock was never replaced, and 4 days later, items were gone. Those items include a boat and outdoor equipment, but most importantly, Air Force uniforms that once belonged to Camden Wubbs, who lost his battle against cancer 6 years ago. His sister Callie says it's memories like this, they can never be replaced.
We were super close. We were only about a year and a half apart, so he was basically my best friend. I had very few items of my brother's. Right. So to have those taken away just kind of hurts.
And MTN reached out to Osterman Storage, but we have not yet heard back. Well, as our state hunkers in to stay warm, Old Man Winter is once again wreaking havoc along the High Line. Take a look. Bitter cold temperatures forced Rocky Boys School District and the Head Start program to cancel class today. And further west, water pressure issues closed Browning Public Schools and the Blackfeet tribal offices. Two Medicine Water Company officials say a main valve froze shut in the water plant, but they hope to have everything fixed and ready to go by tomorrow. These frigid temperatures are also causing ice jams in north central Montana. In Choteau, water is up to 6 inches deep on some streets. If water levels continue to rise, homes could be damaged. Choteau city officials tell us this could be one of the worst ice jams since 1996. Well, St. Peter's Hospital in Helena is now offering a new program to help people quit smoking tobacco and e-cigarettes. The new 7-week plan is open to residents in and around the Helena area. The American Lung Association says it's been ranked as the most effective program in the country. The goal is to help smokers of all types quit for good by using medication, patches, and nicotine gum combined with therapy. It's estimated people who quit tobacco have tried 7 to 10 times before success, and only around 30% who want to quit visit their doctor to discuss options.
By utilizing an evidence-based program, we are here to help. I have never met a former tobacco user who regrets quitting. So my message to the community, utilize the program and let us help you.
Tobacco use remains the single largest preventable cause of death and disease across the U.S. Well, last week, a Yellowstone National Park search and rescue team pulled a man to safety from the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. Well, tonight, MTN's John Shear shows us how the man got there and what it took to get him out.
It was a difficult and dangerous rescue.
Took 600-foot ropes.
This is as far as you can drive toward the interior of the park at this time of year, unless you're on a guided snowmobile or snow coach tour, or if you are on a self-guided snowmobile tour. And that is where this all begins.
He had the gear, had a rope, had crampons, had an ice axe.
Dave Christensen from Indiana snowmobiled with a friend to Lookout Point in the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone and tried to rappel to the bottom. But he made a mistake.
850 feet down to the river. I think his rope was only 360 feet.
So Christensen jumped off his rope and scrambled to the river, but he couldn't make it back to the rope.
Had to go through, drifts up to 5 feet high.
While it's sunny here in the park today, there are dangerous wind chill conditions, not unlike the kind you get frequently in Yellowstone Canyon.
Cold, windy day.
One expert was lowered to the stranded man.
It was a long, slow haul.
The volcanic rock in the canyon breaks easily.
There's always potential for avalanche danger as well.
It took 6 hours to complete the rescue.
There were times where they would fall headfirst into the drifts while we're still pulling up.
It was a close thing.
What makes this place special is its wildness, but it's got to be respected.
Now, the canyon had already been in darkness for about 3 hours when the rescue was completed. Powell says the man is lucky to have escaped without injury, or worse. In Yellowstone National Park, I'm John Shearer for MTN News.
And John tells us that Christensen has a mandatory appearance in federal court in Mammoth to answer for his violations leading up to the rescue. Well, visitor numbers to Yellowstone down to the lowest level in 5 years. The total number of visitors last year, 4,020,287. Now that's down from the record-breaking year of 2016 when the park saw 4,257,000 visitors. That's about 235,000 more than 2019. Still to come on your statewide 9 o'clock news, a Montana tragedy that killed more than 50 people, including nearly every Butte firefighter, is remembered 125 years later. But first, what's the weather looking like, Bob?
Well, Jeanelle, it was a very cold morning, especially east of the Divide. Temperatures in the teens and 20s below zero. But now all that cold Arctic air is starting to slide into the Dakotas and the rest of the nation. And what's happening out west? Well, you're going to like it. We'll talk about it after the break.